Right, well hopefully today we've got some sound. What a shame we didn't see the realistic 1001 video. Same customer, Mr. Immaculate. These weren't even immaculate after about a year when they were new. It's the Domico Convoy 1, also seen as the Sun 401. We've got a Sun 402 somewhere, which is a PT40 in disguise. They suffer from I think it's some kind of plastic coating on the case. It only needs a pin prick in it in a damp environment, and the whole thing bubbles up and goes rusty. So if you wanted to refinish one of these cases, it really has got to be sanded down to the bare metal and start again with primer, etc. Now the only thing that straight away I notice is that it's lost its cable grommet. I'm sure we'll find one on a scrap set. So Domico Convoy from Domicrest. We don't see many of these, and you know what, they work well. I'll put the soldering iron on ready because inevitably it's going to want the speaker on the soldering. It's actually getting a bit hot in here. I may have to put the air conditioning on, but we'll try without. Yeah, you get a decent sized speaker. It's about the size of one out of a Binatone 5-star. That. And he says it works, but he'd like it servicing. So it's a standard mic on these. That should be our standard mic. We've got so much clutter on here. Mr. Chippy says it's time we tidied it up. Perhaps we'll have to stop doing some repairs for a couple of weeks while I tidy up. Right, we'll put the power supply on. Set it to 13.8. I've printed off the circuit diagram. I seem to remember there's more adjustments in these sets than a lot of sets. Plug the connector in. And the speaker connector to the instruments. There we go. Last used on 19. We're on high power. And there we have it. Right, here goes. So we'll switch picture in picture on. TX. I'll put it on the 3-watt scale. Oh. Well, that's no good. Is it on low power? So put it on... He's right, it does need some service. We put it on low power. If we put it on low power, we get 400 milliwatts. Which is correct. If we put it on high power, it's not even on frequency. It's hovering all over the place. So the most we can get out of it is 400 milliwatts. The frequency is 29,79113. So I mean that's spot on, isn't it? But I will just twiddle it just for the sake of it. So we've got VC1 is down here. You've got the LC7137 synthesizer, its crystal, and the trimmer next to it. There we go, 27,79126. So we've got a problem with the lineup. It's all kind of out of kilter, as I would think. So that's that. Let's look at audio. I'll go back to the other meter so we can both see that. Wow, it's 2.7. It's a little bit high. Now we'll look at the receive. So we're hearing that's 1 microvolt. That's 0.3. My goodness, that's receiving well. We're not going to improve on this. It's 0.32 microvolts for 12 dB synad. And it's supposed to be something like 0.45, so it exceeds that well. Good. Someone's got a crystal. Is that crystal filter? No. No, it's got the ceramic filters there. That's the second. They haven't taken the 10.24 from the synthesizer. They have a second crystal for the reference there. Interesting. A lot more in these sets than in many. A lot more parts, should I say. Well, I think I better check. I better find my service notes, I think, unless I can quickly find what we do from this circuit. Well, VR3 is TX meter. So TX lineup is T3, T4, T5, T6, and whatever variable inductors are in there. You've got quite some speech processing going on here. The transmitted audio. So we've got VR5 and we've got VR10. VR5 looks to be the deviation preset. So if we look around here, around the MC3357, T12 is going to be the detector. T7 to 10 is RX. T11 is IF. Squelch should be somewhere around here. VR4 is RX meter. VR2 is low power. So we've got Squelch is there. So VR, that also looks like VR5. How confusing. Anyway, let's found some of them out. So if we go through T3, 4, 5 and 6, I think we'll start off on low power so that we are tuning up, because something's out of kilter, isn't it? It's not right on our test set. That's 5. So that's our first one. We'll transmit 3. Go to higher power, see whether it's now, that bit of twiddling, see whether it's kind of made it come in. It has. Good. So we'll start again. It's actually doing 2.2 watts. So let's get that wax melted. No, it's not really wanting to go over 2.2 watts. See where we're on low power. Yeah, that's risen. Right, so we'll move on to deviation. I've got about 3.4 watts out of it now, which I think is where we're going with it. So let's have a look at the deviation. It's a bit high. VR10. It's been set to full, which is ridiculous. Wallow, 1, 2, wallow, 1, 2. What's VR9 then? I bet it might gain. Let's have an experiment. Wallow, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, wallow, wallow. Well, we'll put that back to where it was. So low power, just do that VR2. That's what my thing says is low power, so let's go for it. So at the moment we're now doing 550 milliwatts because I've managed to get more power to the radius, to the 10 decibel attenuator. No, that's not it. How come that can be different on my set? Well, it's not altering it at all. Affecting full power. There too. Not sure why that is. Better come back to that. So meter TXVR3. It's not, that isn't meter, is it? No. The VR4's receive meter. It will be coming back to that. Yeah, we'll go over to the receive for now. That's the receiver that's so perfect. Let's put S9 on, equivalent signal. And the T12 is the detector. So where is it? It was spot on. Oh, I've not shown you that. That was naughty. We'll do that again. Maximum recovered audio. So go over to the cyanide meter. Go down to about 4 dB. And we'll go through the receive. So I'm looking at 7, 8, 9. Eleven's going to be in there somewhere. There's 10 hiding. I wonder if it's a carpet tape. So no improvement there. No improvement I can see there. Got an improvement there though. Just take the signal up a bit for that one. See whether that's better with a higher signal. Yeah, I can see that. So that's the receive done, just those few coils. So we'll put S9 on it and see whether we can adjust the meter. Put the bench light back on, which I forgot. So the meter says VR4. VR4 is there. That should read S9. The maximum it will read is 8. So it's a bit of what you'd call a lazy needle. So look at the squelch setting. It's going to turn the squelch to full. Put this to the attenuator controls. And we're going to advance the attenuator till we get to 100 microvolts. 10, 30, 100. Still not come in. It never comes in on full squelch, which is pretty useless. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a squelch preset, which is VR5. which is supposed to be that one on its vertically mounted. Yeah. This is not a good squelch. Right, it's the best compromise. It's a wishy-washy squelch. Take the signal generator off. It's about 3 microvolts. More like you get on a walkie-talkie. Right, at the sensitive end, set it to threshold. Switch the signal generator back on. It's coming in at 0.4 of a microvolt, leaving it 0.3 of a microvolt. So at the sensitive end, it works great. But don't expect this to work in a high usage area because it's going to be 3 microvolts at the best. So that is a letdown. They all have their idiosyncrasies, and I sometimes forget what they are. So I've now been reminded, haven't I? Right, so that's it. We just need to go back on the transmit. See whether we can set up the meter for transmit. That was it, meter for transmit. So if we look at the circuit diagram, it's VR3. It's quite clearly VR3. We did low power, didn't we? Yeah. VR4, VR5, VR9, VR2, VR10. VR1. Well, I'll go looking for VR3 and we'll pause the video while I do so. Let's move back to this transmitter. I've had to put the air conditioning on as well. VR1 is here in the circuit diagram, and it's definitely controlling the transmit power. So that's the preset there at the back is VR1. Whether or not we can get a tool into there is another. I wish I wouldn't put them in vertically like this. So let's go into transmit. Just doesn't seem to have any effect. I don't know why. So it sniffs with the diode there. It sniffs the RF coming out after the output transistor, which is 2SC2075, goes via the VR1 preset and is controlling the early stages of the power output. So where's that regulator? 2SA1012. Yeah, so that regulator there. I would think that should get hotter than it is doing. And then the other strange thing is VR3 is the meter on the front, and did we come to the conclusion that had little effect? There was 10, 2, or is that the one we just never found? 5. So I need to look for VR3. I finally found VR3. It's at the back, right at the back. So it's right against the back wall of the set. So I'll get the tool in there, key up, and now we should be able to adjust the meter for the centre of the red zone. Tell you what, we'll set it to 4. Normally the centre of the red zone, but that's where we'll set it, because on this set it's actually 135. Oh no. This is ridiculous. You know what? I think some of us all saw back in the pre-UK legal days, there was the TriStar 727, wasn't there? And the Colt 444, which were multi-channel AM/FM sets, not legal anywhere. And they were the same front as these, and the meter on those was 0 to 10 because it alleged to be 10 watts. And I did see these, you know, like you have mates. I mean, I didn't work on them, but it's just dawned on me. This is the same firm who made those. And that meter has the calibration to 10. So we're going to set this to 4. And then the customer's going to say, this meter hardly moves. There we go. And in low power, it should hardly move. There we are. In high power, I think we can just give it a fraction more. But I haven't got to the bottom of this. This isn't working how I would expect. So I think we need, it's not in here, it's in another bench, we need the millivolt meter, RF millivolt meter. Need to see what's going on here and whether the transistor is indeed varying. In fact, of course, VR2 is low power. I'm barking up the wrong tree. So it's working fine. I'll put it on spectrum analyzer. There is our, I'll just measure that, put the marker on that peak. Minus 60 dBm for the second harmonic. So that's fine. So we're done with that. So yes, it is varying. So I think we're there. I'm just a bit disappointed with 3.4 watts on transmit. I would have liked a little bit more. I wonder what voltage it's going to give us it. That's nothing like experimenting with a customer set. So, oh, we're on low power. No wonder I'm not reading anything. Yeah, it'd be 16 volts before it did 4 watts. We're not going to ever take a set beyond that. So if we put it in my car, which does 14.4 volts, 3.7. Yeah, so I think that's where we are with it. So I'll just check once again. We've got absolute optimum. The spectrum analyzer back on. Let's put it on 27. That's a 3 watt scale, so just bang it across that. Yeah, it's not far beyond 3 watts, is it? Okay, so we've come to a conclusion, and I've had to add a little bit of extra to our original chart. So we've got VR9, which is in here in the speech processing circuit, and it's here. It's been between two TA75558 ICs, and I'm assuming that it is mic gain, because deviation is there. So our deviation is VR10. So deviation's VR10. My gain appears to be VR9, and I've got it in the central position. I can't really tell what it's how it's working. So the front control is VR2, and that sets high power, and that's here on the circuit where the high-low power switch is. So that switch goes to ground, and the preset sets how far to ground it actually goes. So on low power VR1, that's this circuit that I was fiddling about with. That sets this 3 transistor regulator, the output transistor of which is there. That's the low power. So that's there. The meter, RF meter, is VR3, and it's right at the back of the chassis. So what's that leave us with? The Squelch is VR5, we already knew about that one. And the RX meter is VR4, which is there. And I've penciled in T12, which is the detector coil, which is the one behind, which is just down there. So we've learnt a bit more about this. So I would like to have seen a bit more power out of it, but that isn't going to be the case. I'm sure it's going to work great round Scratchy Corner. There's a lot of filters in there. There's a lot of unnecessary expense as far as I can see. And it's got the relay, the very same relay that back in the day I was really concerned would mean that these sets were constantly requiring service. We certainly did when they were in taxi radios. But you know, we don't have to change that many relays. I think the most bothersome one could be the one in the CB40 chassis, which is the one used in the Eurosonic Euro 1, Euro 2, and the Alba CBM1. There's a relay in there, and I did actually get some from the United States. By the time I got them here, they were about £17 each. So, you know, not at all cheap, but I do have some, because otherwise you end up having to put general purpose relays, soldering little wires in so it looks like they're on stalks, and I really don't think it's very good at all. So someone's changed the meter lamp here to a MES, an LES lamp, a Lilliput Edison screw, which isn't of course the right bulb, but it works, and that's fine. Looks like it's the right number of milliamps, it's the right number of brightness, and it also, when I key up, we've got the red one there, which is what these sets do. So it came in being a bit reluctant to transmit, except on low power. But it does peak at 3.4 watts. So when we got it to transmit, it was doing 1.8. Sorry, I'm looking at the realistic from yesterday. Start again. Look at today's notes. So we've got 3.4 watts. We did that. Deviation is now 2.2 to 2.5, and we can now read off what we gained or lost on that cyanide reading. So let's do that. So let's put this over to the meter. There we are. So our 12 is about there, and we now have 0.30 for 12 dB cyanide. So we did make a tiny bit of difference on the receive. The Squelch is now wishy-washy as it should be. And before, if you turn the squelch up, it never ever opened, regardless of how big a signal the radio got. So that's our Domico Convoy. So I'll put it back together and we'll put it on the aerial. Right, so we're back. And I've put a second-hand cable grommet kind of in the back, which is recovered off something scrap. "19, roger." Oh, it helps if we're on high power. 19, roger. "19, roger." Well, we got a burp and a bleep there. I think we'll put it on to 31 instead of listening to the swearers 35 miles away. Don't like the way the power meter is calibrated 0 to 10, setting it at 4, and it's right at the bottom of the scale, which looks silly, but that's I suppose where it should be. So there you have it, the Domico Convoy from 1981, bit of an oddball set, and the same as the Sun 401. Thanks for watching.